Bases loaded. Blakey comes to score a home run. Bah! Wow. Sports, not my thing. I want to establish, number one in this video, you have your own life. Everyone has their own life. I'm not one to dictate that. I just want to talk about how every single time people bring up sports near me, I just smile and I'm just like, wow. Like it's something unfathomable that it actually is taking such a toll on people. I know the most average person isn't starting a fight over sports, I would hope, but they get heated up. They be yelling at the TV. Like the average sports watcher is getting they're verbally aggressive towards their television. They're insulting a flat screen. So I just think it's almost comical, right? In my opinion, I feel like sports would be fire if you watched it once a year. You know what I mean? If it was just one event, like people who just watch the Super Bowl, makes perfect sense. Because in my opinion, it's repetitive. It's literally it's repetitive. The only non-repetitive sports are esports and stuff. Call me crazy, maybe golf even, but it's that's boring. But football, how many different plays can you make? Right? I'm sure you could see a few tackles and be like, that's crazy. You could see a few saves, think that's crazy. See a few spin maneuvers, jumping over people, think that's crazy. But after a certain point, when is it crazy? Right? In my opinion, I feel like you would just see everything. It's just spitting out the same things in different ways, in different teams, different names and stuff. So in my opinion, I'm just how are you watching that? How are you watching that over and over again? The only thing keeping you watching it is just the fact that it's a different team in a different year. I don't know. They enjoy it, obviously, so there is a reason. And that's perfectly fine. But I'll be in places even today. I was near some people and we were just casually talking about normal stuff and it was perfectly fine. And then they bring up sports. Nothing I can add to that conversation. Nothing. So now I just get to hear them talk about sports. And now I'm just great. I'm just here. Right? It is probably the most outlier thing I have about me, honestly. There's so many things that seem like they would be outliers, but that's the big one, man. I think if I was into sports, I would have so many more friends. I would connect with so many more people just randomly. But no, I don't got no team to rep. I don't know any players on no teams besides LeBron. And Stephen Yahoo. My bad. But I'm not too engaged with all that. I would rather play sport than watch it. I be dribbling a basketball, trying to make some hoops, 1v1ing people sometimes. I find that fun, that entertaining, because you're actually doing it. So yeah, you're doing all the moves that you see people can do better on TV, but you're doing it, which is it makes it more fun because it's you. Besides that, I don't really find other sports fun. But once again, if you do, that's perfectly fine. I'd also love to hear why. So if you're hearing this and you love sports, tell me why. Let's have a conversation about this. Other examples, I guess, would be just when people get heated, man. It's one of those things. Liking is one thing, but getting angry when a team who doesn't even know you loses. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's there's people I look up to who don't know I exist, right? Whether it's a streamer, a YouTuber, or an artist. But the thing is that the only way they would affect my emotions is sad, if they die. Or if they end up being a bad person, I'll just kind of get disappointed. But no part of me is getting angry. The only time I would ever get angry, especially growing up, would be something to do with me, right? Or something not working in my favor, right? So let's say one time I had corona, so I couldn't go to a party, and I was genuinely angry. I was like, bro, are you serious? I was trying to come up with ways to avoid it, but probably wasn't smart to do that. So that's an example. I would get angry. I was like, dude, because it was uncontrollable and it affected me. And some other examples being angry would be when I would play Fortnite and I would lose and I would get angry. So I kind of grew out of that. I don't really get angry anymore. I get like funny angry for a second, but it doesn't like persist. It's not an actual anger. I notice though that in a lot of sports watchers, like they'll get like heated, and it baffles me because it doesn't affect them. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess it's just because they want one team to win and one team not, but it's like the only team the only reason you're tied to a team is because you're born there. You know what I mean? Like you're not friends with the people playing. You're not like celebrating at an after party with them. Like it literally is just you grew up in a city, so you like the sports team there. Liking is one thing, but getting angry when they lose, like that's like I don't know, man. Part of me thinks that there's some deeper like idea to all of this. Same thing with schools having different sports teams. I feel like they kind of want to promote disagreement. They want to promote polarization. They being the people in power. You got to imagine if you're the people who own the schools, you own the sports, you own the media, you own all of this. You'd want people pinned against each other. Everyone knows this. That's what they use in politics, right? So you want people to be pinned against each other. So having people grow up in schools that have rivals is one way to do that. And then you're in school having a favorite sports team too, the city you grew up next by, right? And you got rivals too. So it's like you're born into just this lifestyle of rival, us versus them, us versus them, us versus them. You know what I mean? And I think that's very negative. I think that's not really studied upon, probably. I think a lot of people don't really care and they don't see it as that bad. But if you really think about it, that's not healthy to be raised in an environment where you're always promoted us versus them all the time. Because then that's probably how a lot of like racism starts. That's how a lot of like, oh, color versus color, right? Race versus race, sexuality, gender versus gender is a big one too, right? I think a lot of that gets more ingrained in society as people are born being rivals against other teams. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Once again, there's probably not like too much studied upon that, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes perfect sense in my head. I'm sure it would to other people too. So I do kind of want to share that. The dark side of sports or something. But I think all in all, it's not the worst thing in the world. If you look at the fact though that people, especially like in football, they give up their own health just for money, I think that's kind of upsetting. I mean, you could say the same thing about boxing and certain stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, they're consenting to do it, but if they were already a billionaire, they probably wouldn't be consenting to do it. Like it's because of the money, and I think that's like really sad. And it makes it kind of like depressing almost. But I do know a lot of people just have love for the sport, love for the game, and that's always respectable, condemnable, you know. I have seen a lot of really cool people be built from sports just because of like the amount of like pressure it takes and all that, they can really become like a disciplined person. And I think that stuff's really cool. I think it probably promotes a lot of people to be disciplined like that too. Low key in an unhealthy way though, if you really think about it, but it's better than nothing, I guess. But yeah, it's unhealthy to be disciplined in a way where you're like, I'm just gonna lock in on this and not tell anyone about how I feel. Not too great, man. But hey, that's what's going on. One of my favorite shows I've ever watched. Oh my god, I was trying to think. I knew there was a show I liked. All American. A few years ago, I watched like all the seasons that were out at the time. I know there's newer ones out. I haven't watched them, but I watched like I think the first 2 or 3 seasons of All American, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't just about football, but just like the football aspect being on the side of it really made me feel like I was in tune to it in some way. You know what I mean? I felt like I was learning some. It was fire. So that's the closest I have ever been to sports recently, besides playing them. Um, yeah, I don't really know what the rules even be for like football or basketball or baseball or like anything. I've been to baseball games. Like my dad really likes sports, so we'll pull up to different baseball stadiums, and like it's just not hidden, man. It's the same thing over and over again. It's like, okay, A guy went up there with a bat. Someone throws a ball at him, and then he hits the ball. Then there's 2 or 3 outcomes. Home run, everyone goes, yay. Someone catches it, he's out. It lands on the floor, he runs to first base. It's like, wow, generational. 3 different things that can happen. You know what I like? I don't understand why people are so captivated by it. I don't know. It's not something I actually get angry about. I fully understand. If it makes you happy, it makes you happy. But like seriously, dude, it's the same thing over and over again, right? I be thinking music be the same thing over and over again. But at least with music, there's like a million options still. There's so many different notes. You can hold a note. You can just boom. You can go boom boom. You know what? Like there's so many different things you can do with music. But with baseball, it's like, oh, he threw a curveball instead of a straight. Like, oh man, like I don't know, man. Oh, he bunted instead of swing. Like, it's just like, it just it ain't for me. That's my opinion. My bad if I harmed anyone in the making of this video. I didn't mean to. I tried my best. I strived for a non-judgment zone or limited judgment, because I will low-key judge you for that, but not too bad. I still love you. I'll see y'all. Once again, comment down some. Let's beef. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Blakey. And listen to Blakey on all platforms. Blakey, music everywhere. Blake with a Y. Blakey with a Y. Blakey everywhere. Music. Spotify, Apple Music, all of it.